Hello. So, my favorite thing in the whole wide world is to look at something that is just there, an object, and seeing what it can become. And I did this not too long ago, as I was walking through, and um, you have to excuse me, I have a brain issue, and it takes me sometimes a little bit to get my words. a um a like a discount store, like a secondhand store, liquidation store. And I saw these wooden cheap wooden drumsticks, whole bunch in this plastic container. And they were two for $1. So what I saw and what I have been wanting to make wands for so long, and I tried whittling them myself from natural things, sticks I found on the ground. I um, had tried saving for a lathe, which I still plan on getting, but life got in the way. Um, my dog had surgery. I needed dental work. Anyway, so I see these in a bucket and I don't see drumsticks. I see one. And over a period of 3 visits, I bought them all because I first bought a few to see how it would work out. And it has been awesome, easy. Um, and they actually come out very nicely. Um, my first step, well, let's see, let me tell you, they're about 13 inches long. Um, they have pretty much a perfect tapering. Um, I fixed a little bit of that with sanding, but I'll get to that. The first step, and you can buy these really cheap on the internet too. Um, and you're actually having a real wood um, wand with a hacksaw. Nothing, you don't have to use an electric saw or anything like that. And in fact, I found I've been using a Dremel, and it turns out the hacksaw went faster and much easier. Um, I cut the tip off here, there, and hurry up and retrieve them before your dog tries to eat them. The tips. So then you end up with this. Um, I sand the top to round it off nicely. It's pretty easy to sand. It has you can see it's a little bit glossy. It has a thin layer of some sort of lacquer, just some sort of, anyway, it sands off quite easily. I have tried different grades of um, different grades of sandpaper. Um, and I think, well, what I did was I started with a real rough one and then took a finer one over. Out, let me look. My office is also my workshop. I also make brooms out of just sticks that are on the ground. I look at a stick and when it has a certain shape or an interesting bark design or um, I just get this feeling for it. Um, I pick it up and take it home. I'm like the crazy lady dragging sticks home. And I never cut branches or anything off of trees. I only take what has fallen or is like in somebody's brush pile and I ask permission if they mind I go through. So here's my sandpaper. And I first use a very coarse one, which is 100 um, grade. That really gets everything off the shiny stuff and I think there's a little bit of a stain on there and sometimes there's imperfections, but sanding usually gets rid of those. And then I use something finer. This is 220 to smooth it out a little bit. And then I wipe it down with a wet rag to get all the dust off. And I end up with a bald one of these. And they're a very pale, um, pale yellow. Almost white when they don't, when all of this is gone. I use wood stain, um, and I also use paint. I prefer to stain because it gives an irregular appearance, and then when I put the final polyurethane um, over it, it brings out hues and layers and it can be quite beautiful. So I'm going to show you um, if I can use this to show you how I have them drying. I hang them from the ceiling with dental floss. There's a section of them that will have the handle, so it's okay for me to handle them there. I have to. I have a hand trimmer that is sometimes really bad. So I have to be able to grip it somewhere to work with it really well. Um, but it's going to be covered by a piece of leather and some sort of braided um, wire or just some sort of flourish of um, lace or, like braided, plated or something over the leather for a handle. I'm going to see if my computer will let you see how so, so there they are. I let them dry. I experimented with so many different ways to dry them, but when you rest them on anything to dry after you've put this beautiful layer of smooth polyurethane and you rest them against anything or gently put them on anything, they dry with an indentation. And so I have found that this is the best way to get a smooth, beautiful finish. Um, so let me get the ones that are up there because they're all dry and I can show you. I hope the colors come out well enough for you to see because lighting is everything. When you use a stain that already has polyurethane in it, um, it makes it shiny with, so you can skip a step, um, even several steps, depending on how dark you want it. But I like the irregular appearance. It almost has something like a marbled, that's better, a sort of marbled um, finish. It's a lot prettier in person, I promise. It's actually looks like it's made of patchwork brown. And see, this is where I have to handle it. This is what we'll be showing, and the leather and other stuff will be here. Sometimes I add a little charm that dangles, a very little charm. But I name my wands. Um, Sometime this one, I've been watching The Walking Dead, so um, they have uh, they have Walking Dead names. This one is um, Outpost because that's what they're doing right now while I'm watching. They're going to Outpost, but I can't say anything referencing like about The Walking Dead on any listings. I have a store on Etsy. I have to be very careful about copywriting. I got warned because I made brooms with Harry Potter pins on them, and I had to redo them and make them more generic. So I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be clean and smooth. And if you end up with what I call pimples, sometimes you end up with these little sharp bumps. I use a very sharp X-Acto type tool, and I just barely angle it and just barely move it over the surface to get those little rough parts. Smooth them out. Not hard enough, not hard. Otherwise you're gonna get a notch in your uh smooth surface, but that gets rid of the pimples. That's what I call them, pimples. Like there's some right there I gotta take care of. And you can't tell, you can't see. There's no blemish after. And this tool is universal use. So that is Outpost. And I store them in, my mom has something for, um, until they ship. Because, like, this one is for a future project. It's called Raven. It's dark. I'll show it to you since it's finished and in a wand holder already. It was on a broom that I had to change because this is a finished project of a wand. So this is a holder that goes with the broom. It You can have a wand without a broom, but this one was attached to a broom, and it is just a basic dark brown, shiny, very smooth. Um, I twisted some trim, shiny black trim, and then did some copper wire detail as the handle. I call this one Raven. Um, and um, And these nice soft, this material's so nice and soft and keeps them from getting scratched. Bubble wrap sticks to the shiny surface and causes blemishes. This one I haven't put away yet. It's going right back onto its broom. I just had to I had to fix the broom so it didn't violate copyright laws. And so this one goes from, it's almost like an ombre. It goes from light to dark to light, like that. So very pretty. Key is these are not a 1 day project. These take several days, and I made this wand holder and it hooks to the broom. Because you put your color on, your stain on, and it's got to dry completely. And before you add another. So each step can take a day. So I usually have about 5 going at a time. This one is all dry. I'm waiting for these ones that don't have handles. I'm waiting for the leather to arrive. Of course, it's late because of COVID and all that's going on. I get scraps from upholsterers pretty cheap, and they're in small pieces, which is perfect for the one. This one I call Bloodlust because I used a very dark red, a mahogany, and it also had polyurethane in it already, but for some reason it wouldn't come out shiny. So I put that stain on, the mahogany stain on, and then put just a plain polyurethane over it. And you can just barely tell right here. When you first look at the wand, it just looks like black or a very dark red. But when you put it in the light, you can see all these red different hues moving all over the wand like blood is on it, coating it in different layers. So this one I call Bloodlust. Okay, now this one is going to a broom that's already been made. It used to be a different broom and I had to recycle it into a new kind of broom. And so now it is I always name all my products because they mean something to me because I put days and days into these products. Brooms, staffs, wands. It's not just like a day in the shop, for me. Um, this one is gonna go to a Cowgirl Broom and wand. The wand holder will be made of denim. And the band around the broom is denim with a no, the band around the broom that holds the bristles will be denim with some brown, light, like tan suede. Um, and I'm sort of thinking of a cowgirl out in the meadow because the bristles are flowers. Maybe I would show you, maybe I will in another video. But they're on their racks and I hate disturbing them because I'm afraid I'm going to scratch a finish or something. But this is going to have either a tan or a brown leather here. This one looks beautiful all around. Um, I was surprised that I put the paint on it. All I used was like craft paint, just this, and made sure it was dry and put the polyurethane, clear polyurethane on it in 2 coats, and it's nice and shiny and pretty, and it's gonna go with this broom. Lovely. And it's gonna incorporate, I think the cowgirl thing is going to incorporate maybe people that might feel a little bit left out in the fantasy world, you know. I love horses and fantasy, so um that's where I'm going with that one. Okay, and just remember, the more you experiment and don't look for perfection, the more you refine your craft, and the more cool things you figure out to do that probably other people aren't doing, and they might look at your stuff and just like, wow, how'd you do that? Well, it's a trade secret. So I'm giving you all my trade secrets. This one is it's stained. Now this stain is a water base, and they're kind of weak. If if you have a super absorbent wood, it sucks it in, and you can do layer after layer until it is jet black, and it looks beautiful when you get the polyurethane on it. Um, but on this wood, it doesn't absorb quite as well. So only 1 or 2 layers will take. So I experimented with just resting the tip in the can of stain, black stain. And so the tip's a little bit darker than the rest of the wand. It's a little irregular on purpose. And I call this one Walker. Um, Probably will have, I'm hoping for a grayish black. If you think about a Walker, possibly a, I don't know, a red in there. I never know until I set the colors all together of everything I'm going to put on the item to see how I feel about it, if it jives. Okay, and I'm wearing this goofy hat for 2 reasons. I'm into witch hats, and the second reason is because my hair looks awful. I got the wrong dye, and I have to fix it. So this one is just a basic brown. It's two-tone. One side is darker than the other. That's on purpose. Um, and I believe the handle is darker. Um, and you can see the dental floss. Uh, this one is Hilltop. Um, this is chestnut, and I have a thing for chestnut. I just love chestnut. Light to dark. This one has an imperfection, and it upsets me. See, it's a dark where it may have dripped down or something. Um, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to camouflage it with a handle or make it less obvious. Um, so I'm not really sure. It bothers me, but there, you can see it better there. Um, but like I said, I tend to be a perfectionist, and sometimes imperfection is beautiful. So that was a water-based um, stain as well with clear polyurethane. Sometimes I put the here, I'll let you see my horrible hair. Sometimes I put the polyurethane um and while it's still wet, sprinkle a little fine glitter. I mean, as long as it's appropriate to what it's gonna be. Um, and let it dry, and then put a couple more layers of polyurethane so it doesn't fly off. I did try, I wanted to try green. I want some earthy, more earthy colors, some earthy reds, like clay reds and greens. And so I got this, and it turns out it's an acid stain. And when they say be careful when handling it, they mean it, because it will say make your hands burn. I have a hard time finding I want small vinyl, no, small latex gloves. I want something snug that will not show fingerprints. And right now they're hard to find. And so I walk around with dirty looking hands from stain. Anyway, um, this green, I just didn't like it. And and it didn't seem to stay. So, like, it seemed completely dry to me. And I put the polyurethane on it, and it just wiped off. And I tried to salvage it with chestnut, I think it was, and then black, and was just making a bigger and bigger mess. So I was disappointed because for the first time I had taken a knife and made this beautiful spiral, see, along to give some detail. And I tried shining it, and it just beads up and falls off. It's just really weird what the chemistry has happened to this one. But the more I let it sit and just sort of cure, the more I'm liking it. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to call this one yet. Um, or if I'm even going to um, even pursue it any further. Uh, I mean, someone might like it's rough. It's just as um, like it's been through the ringer kind of appearance. I am sure I can come up with a name that'll make it sound more attractive than the actual wand is. This would definitely end up with a like dusky type black. Um, yeah. So I'm going to be experimenting more with designs on the stick. Um, I would love to have a lathe. Um, but I do like how these ones turn out when they're done and when they're in holders for brooms. I think they're so awesome looking. And even when they're all alone, you know, to sell on their own, they're still quite beautiful and cheap. I get leather scraps. I Oh, and this right here, this leather is actually an arm patch, which you can get very cheap. Suede arm patch.